I get shit done, I have fun, it's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hey, we're back. It's the Business Renovator. And I'm really excited again today. I know I say I'm excited every day, but when I have somebody new, I do get excited. We had a great discussion pre-show already. I was thinking I should have pushed record then, but I didn't. And it really ties into the title of today's episode. It's Crazy California Dude Breeds Spirit into the Humans He Coaches. So if you're watching us live right now, thank you for being here. And if you're not catching us on the replay, just remember #replay. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. We have a sponsor. We're both part of the same organization. So this is kind of perfect for what we're about to do. So if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or want to be one, you might really appreciate the offer that's coming your way. So there's 4 foundational pillars that all businesses are supported with. That's time, team, money, and then either futures or exit strategy, whatever you want to call that. But all 4 of those at some point in time are supporting the business, or if they're not, they should be. So if you have a question as an entrepreneur, business owner, up and coming, want to be one of those, or if you're in the sales world, reach out and ask us a question. Take advantage of the 30-minute complimentary session. No credit card is required. And you'll have 2 choices today. If either one of us resonates with you, reach out to us. We'll give you our information during the podcast. And if we're not the right ones, guess what? We're part of a global community. I'm sure we could find somebody that can answer your questions and maybe resonates with you. In the meantime, as I was saying, I have a crazy guy. Well, actually, he's a crazy California dude. Got to speak the lingo. And he breeds spirit into the humans he coaches. And he's basically he works with business owners, startups, leadership teams, and helping them defining and achieving their goals. It is common that his new clients are so busy running their businesses that they've lost their way on having the business that they dreamed of when they started. He's also a politician, but he's a lovable one. There was some adversity that was going through his community in Malibu, and he was the mayor at the time, and there was a fire and other things. And dealing with that, plus being a business coach, business owner, and an all-around crazy California dude. I'm going to bring Mikke Pierson up right now. I can't wait any longer. Hello and welcome. Thank you for fitting us into your crazy California dude schedule.
Hey, Coach Phil. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thanks, buddy. It's great to see you again. Last time we bumped into each other was New Orleans, right?
Yeah, it was great. That was fun.
Great. Wow, we hadn't been able to do that for about 3 years. The last time we had one conference.
Yep. It's always good to be around inspiring people.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things I forgot to mention was your mission statement, and it is to empower business owners and exceptional business coaching and with exceptional business coaching so that they can achieve growth, profitability, and balance.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, in a way it is, because that's where people engage me, but we're going to look at everything. We're going to look at their whole life, and we're going to make the whole thing make sense. Right. Or else the business end just doesn't make sense either.
So you weren't always a politician, and you weren't always a business coach. Where did you start out from?
So I've always been an entrepreneur, at least since college. My first business actually was one of those fancy food trucks that are popular now. And they weren't then. We just kind of made it up, me and a buddy, after college. And it was really successful, but I hated it. And it taught me an important first lesson, is that making money for the sake of making money did not make me happy. So I sold that business, and I was, growing up in Malibu as a surfer, no surprise, and was friends with the guy who owned the surf shop where I bought a bunch of stuff. So we ended up talking, and I ended up joining with him, and that really launched my main career, which was in the surf, skate, and snowboard industry for about 30 years. And that was a life-changing event. Absolutely.
I didn't realize you did all of that. I just knew you were a crazy California dude that liked to surf. That part I kind of understood. All those other things were like additives, good additives, right? They're kind of similar in scope, activity, fun, and on the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, growing up in Malibu and being a surfer and a skater, and to end up in the business, what was great about it is I was passionate about it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I was very, very fortunate early in my career to have a man walk in who did a great job of telling me that though I knew how to sell lots of stuff, I actually knew nothing about business. And he was right. And, so I engaged him to help me figure out what the heck I was doing. And he taught me all the skills of business, which is kind of the easy part at the end of the day. But the main thing he taught me was the mindset of business. And that's what changed everything and led to me. I probably hired 800 people over those 30 years. And it was real life. They were young people. And over the 30 years, 10 of them actually did not survive. They made decisions that got them killed. And I realized that all my employees at some level were at risk because of their age, if not their circumstance. And I also performed 16 of their weddings as a lay minister. So it was real life. And I learned a heck of a lot about building teams, building culture within a system and structure, which changed a lot of other lives, including mine. And it was a really incredible run.
I'm just writing notes here so I make sure I don't forget anything. And I'll forget some things, but
I can remind you.
okay, perfect. I want to backtrack to things you said, just because I think they resonate with everything the business renovators about, and me, because I guess I'm the host of the business renovator, and that was mindset. So the three pillars of my stool are sales, marketing, and mindset. I shifted that though recently, a couple of months ago, actually, well, 4 months ago, to mental fitness. And the reason I went to mental fitness is treating our mind just like a muscle, because it is, and having that definition or descriptor of it helps me personally realize that I can develop this to be more efficacious, or in plain English, get more shit done. Develop our causative power. Not positive power, although that does help. It's causative. What can we make happen? And I know I was reading in some of your content that I had was, it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with the things that show up in our life. Do we turn them into gifts and make them better, or do we run and hide? And when, back in March, a couple of years ago, something happened to the world, and some people they hunkered down and hid, so it jarred their preserves in the sense that they became even more afraid, and were hoping and wishing that life would be back to normal. And then the other people like you and I and others we know and have been able to serve, it jarred their preserves in a different way, got them out of their rut, which is kind of a grave with no ends, and got us to turn on our creative juices, right? Did you find those kind of things were happening over the last couple of years?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there was the initial shock of the pandemic, and we'd been through a shock in my town, as you mentioned, with a huge fire that burned a giant chunk of the town. So I think that mindset in that space is everything. You can hunker down, like you said, or all challenges are opportunities, and you look for the opportunity. And there is always opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it may be tough to find it. And that kind of rolls into one of my tenets of coaching, which is proactive, positive communication at all times, teaching my clients to be actively engaged in moving forward and how that works and what that looks like. Doesn't mean the subject's positive, but that you look for a positive way forward at all times with the people around you. And obviously that starts with your business team, with your employees, your leadership team. But in my coaching, you know, the master classes, okay, go have that conversation with your parents now. And so we try and globalize these kind of things as much as I can with my clients.
I'm going to go back to what you started that soundbite with, and that was proactive, positive. What's that?
Communication.
Communication. That's powerful. It reminds me of something that you and I are very familiar with, victor victim. And what you're talking about is taking charge, being responsible. So respond with ability, hyphenate that, so that we can make something good out of the crap we're going through, or we feel that we're going through, right? I often go back to one of the areas geographically in your world, actually where we just came from, New Orleans, where the Katrina hit, and it was devastating. There was people that stayed there, whined and complained, and some perished because of that, and others left. And it's, again, going back to what you said, it's not what happens, it's how we show up. So I use the Katrina as an example, is because, yeah, that was a terrible, world experience. Life was lost and choices were made. But the ones that made good of that said, okay, I didn't cause Katrina, but what can I do to make it better for myself and other people? And that showed up in a lot of different ways. I need to get a more current story, but that one just sticks in my head. Right? Maybe I could talk to you more about the Malibu fire, because that's more relevant and more current in terms of time, not more relevant than New Orleans, but it's
a great example here, because 488 homes burned down, and a 14-mile wide fire front came into town. There was no firemen. It was a complete disaster. And you see now, 3.5 years later, we have 72 homes complete, people back in and rebuilt. And people are wondering why the city is so slow at getting people back in their homes. That's not what's happening. People are still in shock. People still haven't moved forward, or some have. So there are a couple hundred homes, 250 under construction and maybe nearly done. But getting through that is all up here. It's such a shock to lose everything instantly. Yeah. So for a lot of people, some people, the 72, they jumped on it. Like, okay, we're moving forward. We're ready. A lot of other people sat around for 1 year, 2 years plus, just not knowing how to take the next step. Relates to what we do as business coaches, right?
Yeah, it does. I'm just absorbing what you're saying, because I've not lived through that. I've driven through massive fires in my own country. I'm in Canada, and in BC, 1 year that was recently, last 3-4 years, it was devastated by fires. And I drove through the smoke, and that's not the same as living in it, what you're talking about. So I paused for a minute to try and have some empathy for those people. What I liked about what you said was that 72 people were victors and the others not quite there yet.
Right.
Yeah. That would be tough, man.
It is tough.
But life, the life keeps going regardless of what circumstances show up, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's the option we have, right?
Yeah. So you can do that on your own, or you can get a coach, whether it be a business coach or a life coach, whatever the circumstances are. It's easier to get more stuff done when you've got somebody else there who's not as emotionally connected to what's going on. What I see is that I live with myself 7/24, or is that 24/7? It's 24/7.
I kind of like your way better.
Yeah. And we don't always see or recognize the things we've done really well, or the things that are kind of acting like anchors. Have you seen that with your clients, or even in your own experience?
The way I look at it and the way I engage with clients is that when you're busy grinding away into your life, it's almost impossible to have introspection on what you're doing. It's just, you don't, and you said it, you don't have that outside view, that unattached, unemotional view of it. So, I think the sweet spot for me and a lot of my clients is sort of the founder syndrome. They've been busy building a business, and at some point they're just grinding away, and They're not looking up anymore. They don't really know their goals, and there's struggles, whatever they are that are wearing them down. Maybe they don't love HR. Maybe they're not good with metrics, or, who knows? Maybe the rest of life is, challenges. So I think that sort of place where the business owner has built the business but yet doesn't know the next step, that I love that. I love being in that phase. I've been in it personally in my businesses. I understand the mindset and the actions needed to get through there. And I love engaging people there. I feel like I can be very successful.
You said a 4 or 5 letter word starts with G, goals. I guess it's 5 goals. And do you find that your clients or future clients going to be a client are crystal clear, or even do they even have goals?
Yeah, it's all of that. Some of them can't answer the question. Others do, but it's actually it's not really a well thought out goal. So often we need to explore that for quite a while, as you know. And what's your real goal? People have a goal. I think a lot of people have engaged me on, I want to sell more stuff. Okay. So the first thing I know is there's a reason they're not selling more stuff. And that's what we're going to actually deal with, not them selling more stuff, because that'll happen when they take the right actions to allow that to happen.
Do you find that when they say that you want to sell more stuff, it shows up in a number of different ways: more sales, more revenue, more? Yet if they were to take on the more, do they have the infrastructure or the financial fortitude to be able to fund that while they're manufacturing or processing? Or
You nailed it, Coach Phil. If I could flip a switch and have them sell more stuff, they wouldn't be able to handle it. They're not ready. And that's the irony that they don't understand. I think I have a client I absolutely love. We're very, very close. I've worked with him several years. We look at his numbers now, and what's interesting is, in some ways, he sells less stuff, but he's so much more profitable. And he's completely changed his mindset from the first day when he told me all he cared about was selling more stuff. And I said, well, great. What's your margin? And he had no idea.
Yeah.
So, sometimes, what we do and the ability to point out things that our clients just aren't thinking of can have a huge impact.
Yeah, totally. You remind me of something I haven't been able to use very often, because we're just starting to get back into the real life, face-to-face gatherings of entrepreneurs, business owners, etc. Networking groups, I think they're called.
Yes.
And we've been doing it virtually, but it's not quite the same as doing it in person. And when people would say to me, so what do you do, after I've had a chance to listen to what they're all about and hearing their side of the story, I love that part first. And then the law of reciprocity kicks in, and they'll ask me, and they say, well, I'm in the business of helping people as entrepreneurs or small business owners stop the insanity. And they said, what are you talking about? If they're interested. And I go into it, and then I'll explain to them what I'm talking about. And it's just like what we were talking about right now. They want to make more money, and they've done some marketing, got somebody interested. They have a conversation, do a decent diagnostic process to identify if there's a problem that you can solve, and they find out that there is, and they get to the proposal stage, and they offer the proposal, and the prospective client says, oh, that's great. Can I get it for 20 points less? And I'll say to them, so has that ever happened? They go, happens all the time. And he says, what? That's the crazy insanity stuff I help people like you stop. So you can get the passion back in your heart, the bounce back in your step, and build the business that you thought you were going to build. And what made me think about that was you talking about this. One of your favorite clients is working less and more profitable, and can live the life, can have time with the family if that's what they want to do on the weekends and the evenings. And somebody described that a lot of entrepreneurs, the spouses feel like there's a mistress, and it's the business, because they're spending all their time with the business. A mistress, or the other part, whether depending what gender you are. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but the mistress or the other character that's interrupting the relationship is the business.
Well, yeah, and I think as we kind of sort of touched on, a lot of our clients don't really think of the whole picture very well.
No.
So they're the work-life balance. and they don't plan it. They just stumble into whatever they can do. And so every year I go back and do a list of questions with all my clients. Like, okay, so now how many days off a year do you want? Okay, how many hours do you want to work? What kind of schedule do you want to work? So we go into all these areas to see where they're at. How much do you need to make? Go through all of this. And often they find like, oh, I do want to switch direction at least a little bit because I'm not really doing that.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Something I throw into the mix there too is, and I was a coach taught this to me, so I share it with my clients now too. And that is to leverage the insurance industries, the actuarial tables. They have a prediction as to, depending on your age, how long you're going to live. So look at if you're brave enough and if you want to face the truth, go to one of those tables, find out how many years they predict that you're going to have. Doesn't mean that you're going to live that long for sure. You might live longer. It's a great starting point though, because if you look at, they say, okay, you're at 67, stats suggest that you have 11 more years. So out of the 11 years, how many years do we sleep? So take the number of hours you sleep. Now you've got, I don't know, 8 years, 7 years left. And then there's time suck time that just shows up. Like you got to phone the bank and you get put on hold for how many hours, take that off. And when you look at actually how much time you have to live, there's not a lot left. So then do what you just said. How many hours what's the lifestyle that you want, and then reverse engineer it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to ever end up in a situation where I'm telling a client how to live their life to
Right.
achieve a financial goal. That's the wrong approach, in my opinion. I think there's a saying I think about a lot. It's like you can't set a goal to when you're finally going to let yourself be happy. You have to start now. So, and that translates to a lot of things in business and the rest of your life. If you want to do something, you can't set a future goal till you can do that. I don't believe in that. Like, okay, let's start now. How are we going to do this? How are we going to get there?
Yeah, it's like baby steps, right, towards the end result we're trying to get to.
Exactly.
So, did I say try? There is no try. There's just do. Decide to do it. I caught myself though, right?
Yes, you did.
Have you heard of the book Slight Edge?
I've heard of it. I have not read it.
Oh, it's a good one. It really takes the 1% rule that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, and it really identifies and helps people understand the power of that 1% rule.
Right.
In the early stages of the book, there's two sons and a father dying, and he gives them a choice. You can have, and he was quite wealthy, so you can have $1 million, or you can have a penny a day compounded for. Which one do you want? So there's two legs of that story. One brother takes the money, and the other one takes the penny. And the lessons along the way are integrated throughout the whole book. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, and it's a great way to look at working with clients. You're not trying to cure cancer overnight. You're trying to make incremental improvements.
That's right.
Because they're sustainable too.
Yeah.
And as we discussed with Crazy California Dude, a lot of it resonates here. The rest is pretty, in some ways easy. If you get your mind straight, you don't have to be your own accountant, just like you're not your own doctor or lawyer or any of those. So there's always ways to get all the tasks done.
Yeah, it's being open to it though. Like we started off at the beginning of this episode, was it's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to react to what's happening to you.
Exactly.
There's I don't know how famous she is, but in my world, she's famous because I stumbled into, well, actually I was gifted, not stumbled. I was gifted a master class. It's called the master class. There's a variety of different faculty members in there. You can learn how to cook and be a chef or be an entrepreneur or whatever. So it's two people that I've really engaged with on that. One is Chris Voss in the art of negotiation. The other one is Sarah Blakely. And she started off with a passion and $5,000 in her living room, and she was going to make a difference in women's lives. And so she's done that. And the things she learned along the way about, she didn't know about what she didn't know, and she just went off and did it. She was fortunate. Her father was a huge influence on her. He would ask her and her brother quite often, so what did you fail at today? And if they didn't have a fail story, he was disappointed. So
Mhm.
when she went out into the world to take it on, she took that with her. So she has, she's tenacious, she's energetic, she's a little quirky. I think quirky's a good part of being successful. And she turned that idea into a $1 billion entity, hangs around with people like Richard Branson and Warren Buffett. And it all started right here, just
Right
like you're
there.
saying, Mikey.
Yeah.
This is so powerful, right? If we don't change this, nothing else changes, does it?
Right. And I don't have any clients like this now, but I've had clients in the past where I think their real values were they only cared about making more money. And they were miserable human beings, to be
Yeah.
honest. I'm thinking of one engagement in particular where I just ended it. It did not fit my value set. He did not treat people well. He didn't treat himself well. He's unhealthy. And he refused to change and didn't want to change.
He wasn't in Calgary, was he?
He
Because
may be now. I don't know.
well, I had one just like that, and I ended it as well. Because what he said, what he wanted, was different than what he actually lived, and then it seemed to be more. His value structure was he used people and loved money, and I'm totally opposite. I love to use money, and I love people.
Right.
Cool. I want to share a couple of things about you. I'm looking
Let's see it. What do you got?
I'm just going to bring it up here. I'm going to bring up your website first, buddy. So,
Oh, I thought you invited my ex-wife to join or something.
oh no, I don't know her.
I'm kidding.
So this is your website. Bear with me as I get it, so if people can actually see how to find you, because that's really hard to read. That I do have it here. It's right there. So it's mikkepierson.focalpointcoaching.com. And look, he really does live in Malibu. Look, that's not photoshopped.
Yeah, and that's actually not Malibu either, hysterically. That's Venice Beach, I think.
Oh, is it? Silly
Well, I like
Canadian.
the
We don't surf much up here, unless it's on snow.
there you go.
It's called snowboarding, though, I think.
Yes, indeed.
So there's something that you can get from either one of us. If you like what you've heard from Mikey, you can go to his website. I just click it back on here. And you have right at the top right-hand corner. It's the same place on my website, funny enough. You can get a business growth score where it'll help you identify where you're at. And you don't have to do anything other than just fill that in, and then you'll get the answers. And if you want some help with it, if you've done it through Mikey, great. And if you've done it through me, great. We're happy to help you out.
Yeah, glad to have a chat with anyone. Actually, I don't onboard clients without getting to know them first. So if anyone ever wants to chat, talk about your business, we'll set up a time.
Yeah, and no credit cards are required.
No.
Because if it's not a fit, no money is going to make it happen.
Exactly.
And then the other place they can find you and hang out with you is here. And if I push this other button up here, there we go. So this is your LinkedIn profile. If people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, this is where they could go search you out and become part of your community.
Well, thank you. I like that. Look at you. Technology, you got it going here.
Well, some days it works really well.
You should be a business coach.
Really? I think I like that idea. Here we got another comment here. Nowhere to go. Oh, I like that. Nowhere to go but up for me, says Robert Brooker. I want to thank Melanie for popping in on LinkedIn, and Robert's looking in at Facebook. That's nice to have people here joining us today.
Nowhere to go but up. I like that.
If there was a nugget that you wanted to share with our audience today, in addition to the proactive, positive communication, I thought was a really good nugget. In addition to that, though, what else would you want to make sure people heard from you?
That's a great question. I don't want to say I don't have a clue, but I just think I think back to mindset at all times. We are all very fortunate to be either listening in here or actually part of this broadcast right now. And I think about that a lot every day. I'm a big believer in training your brain to be who you want to be. Some people really feel that we are who we are, but in reality, we can be who we want to be and be authentic about it. So I think my nugget would be about authenticity and really taking your life and making it the life you want it to be. And that's what I feel I'm really doing with my clients and hopefully with myself every single day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's great stuff. We could probably go and talk on for quite a bit longer about what we love to do, because I'm pretty sure that we're both highly passionate about the space we're in with the people we get to work with. It's life-changing from my point of view, the things that I've seen people do, not because I did it, they did it, but to be part of that on their journey with them, to walk with them a few miles or a few steps is brilliant. And going back to something you said earlier today, I want to make sure we hit on this, because if you want to know what you're made of, start a business, become an entrepreneur, and stay the course. There's no better self-improvement course on the planet, bar none. It will be the best and scariest journey of your life, but when you get to the other side of it, you'll have lived into your potential. That's what I believe, what I'm experiencing myself.
Yeah. And I kind of, one thing I share with my clients too, that what we do, the impact is not just about improving lives. It can actually be about saving lives. With my business, I realized by giving these kids I hired a purpose and a mission and growth and a place to move forward and accountability, it really changed lives to the point where we know it saved lives. And because they let us know later that they were on a dark path and that we changed that. And there's some amazing stories about that. So for my business owners, I say you have that same opportunity with your employees. You are not just changing lives, you're potentially saving lives. You're giving people a path forward that they don't have, and you have that opportunity, and you should cherish it and honor it and respect it and work hard for it.
Yeah, you reminded me of one of the other people I follow, and he lost a brother to suicide over a bad business decision. So his MO as a business coach is to stop that stuff from happening. So really, as business coaches, and it's not just business coaches, but certainly in our sphere, it's probably more prevalent, is we're actually in the business of saving lives and saving marriages. Because if the business is going sideways, that mistress that we talked about earlier might win out, and you lose everything. And it's really worth. Did you put the ladder up against the right building? When you stand at the top, are you happy, or are you like the people you were talking about? They're motivated by money and not very happy lives. So,
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
this has been a good reminder for me for why I do what I do, and very insightful knowledge from you to our audience. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending where people are watching us, to share some of your wisdom. And I know you have much more, because I've had the opportunity over the years of hearing and seeing some of the things you've done. But I'm truly grateful for you being here today.
Oh, thanks for the invitation, Phil. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. It's good to spend time with you.
I appreciate that. Back at you. And don't go away. I'll be right back with you, Mikey. But for now, man, that was brilliant. I'm going to do a bit of a reminder here. Business Growth Score. You can go to Mikey's website where the information was there, or you could actually go to mindcoachphil.ca is the simplest way to get there. You could use this long one that's right there. Business Coach or coachphil.ca. Look at that. I'm human. Last but not least, I want to leave you with this thought. This is the new way it's going to show up, but I got to fix that, because my video coach would say, Phil, you don't put anything over your face. Well, I just broke his rule, so I apparently need to do some work there. So let's go to the original one, and we'll grow into something a little bit better. The idea, though, behind this is the you and wonderful is representing you. You are unique, and you are truly wonderful. So I encourage you to go act like your wonderful, unique self. And with that, that's the end of today's episode. Thank you for being here. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this out with other people. If you know of somebody you would like to introduce me, to, or them to me, so that we can have them as guests on the show, I welcome that as well. Until then, be hugely wonderful.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.